Hey everyone, I am back, and it has been a long months since my last update video where I talked about catching my right eye up to my left. And I mean in these pair of glasses because these are my first reduced normalized. I'm wearing my computer glasses right now, hence when I refer to my glasses, I'm not talking about this pair, I'm actually talking about the other one. But anyways, it's been a long pause because I've had a lot of life events happen in the last 9 months.
I had some family members pass away, some things happened, and I had to move cross country. So I've been a little bit out of my Endmyopia routine.
Needless to say, I've been behind on working on Endmyopia progress, updating videos, posting to YouTube, and keeping everyone informed of my progress. But I wanted to follow up with this video to explain that I am still working on it. I am still trying to catch up my right eye to my left, and I've learned some important lessons through this whole experience that I wanted to share with you.
So, what's the progress? Has there been any improvement? Well, not really, so to speak. No measurable improvement, at least. But there has been progress, and especially knowing what not to do and when to admit when you're stuck. So here's my recap. I made the first drop back in September of 2020, over a year ago, and since then, my left eye has taken to the reduction extremely well. I've successfully brought it up to par, where I can see 20/20 on the Snellen chart in that eye, which means that my overall vision is also 20/20 in my reduced pair of glasses. So, yay, that's great. Also, in my previous video, I talked about passing the DMV test with that pair of glasses, so there's that accomplishment. Now, the only problem is that somewhere along the way in the reduction, right eye got left behind.
So basically, my left eye has been partying ever since February, and my right eye, it's been alone and struggling. Poor thing. It's not saying 20/20 yet, and my goal has been to see 20/30, 20/20 clearly on the eye chart in my right eye before making another reduction, hence wanting to catch it up to the left. In hindsight, oh, beautiful hindsight, I probably should have made an even reduction in diopters for both eyes. Now, if you recall, back in one of my other videos, I talked about making an uneven reduction where I dropped half a diopter in my left and a full diopter in my right. That's not advised. It's not necessarily a train wreck, and it just, it means that I've had to work even harder to get where I want to be, but I definitely wouldn't recommend it for those starting out. I really thought I was being clever and I could trick my visual cortex into a larger, more complex drop than it was ready to make. I also wanted to keep it on the same ratio as my computer glasses, which has a half diopter difference. But again, hindsight is 20/20, literally. So I do not advise that or recommend that to anybody. I recommend staying with an even drop when you make your reductions. Note to self, note to you all, it's probably best to make an even drop, especially for your first time. It will make your life so much simpler, trust me. Now, on top of the not recommended uneven reduction in diopters, I also learned that especially after a drop like that, consistent and intentional habits are everything.
I will repeat, consistent and intentional habits are everything.
I thought I was doing great.
I was logging my screen time, my outdoor time. I was keeping my glasses off when I was on my phone. I was taking frequent breaks from the computer, and I thought I was taking frequent enough breaks from my phone.
But here's the simple truth. These things are great, but if you don't combine them with legitimate distance vision and distance vision time and intentional, purposeful, active focus practice, you really aren't going to have a whole bunch of improvement. And that's where my next problem showed up. After being discouraged by the slow and I mean slow progress in my right eye, I was pretty sad, discouraged, and got pretty lazy. And then I sort of just went through the motions of these habits that I was talking about earlier, without much meaning behind them or excitement in doing them like I originally felt in the beginning. And so I got kind of caught into a routine and was just going through motions, which is never really advisable when you're trying to improve your vision. So sometimes when you think you're practicing a good habit, you're only getting half of it right. Take this for example. It's not enough to take a break from a computer or a screen, only to do more close-up activity after that break. So if after an hour or so working on my computer, I take a 10-minute break and then I go wash dishes, focusing visually only on the dishes right in front of my face, or I go play with my dog indoors and keep my gaze at a mere few inches away from my dog's face, then I'm not really getting a break from close-up, am I? This is where I was inadvertently cutting corners in my practice of myopia. I thought to myself, hey, I'm taking breaks, right? That counts. That's what is advised. That's what Jake says. Take breaks. That's part of the Endmyopia program. But it wasn't actually giving my ciliary muscle a break from close-up activity by doing something like looking out the window for 10 minutes, for example, or going on a short walk. And when I say looking out the window, I mean you really need to actively look out the window while practicing active focus, not just passively watching people and things go by and sort of letting your eyes glaze over or getting halfway through and wanting to do something else, which is basically what I would do every single time I took a break. So, were they really breaks? Debatable. Then on top of all this, I knew I wanted and needed to get myself outside for distance vision practice every single day.
My recent activity of choice had been going for long walks or shooting some basketball with my husband for an hour or two. And yeah, I did get married between now and the time I last filmed, so that update kind of came in the way of my practice. But anyways, I should know better by now that wanting to do something and disciplining myself to do something can be two very different things. In reality, I wasn't very good about keeping up my daily outdoor time. And so it would inevitably dwindle and go up and down, averaging on any given day from 15 minutes, a mere 15 minutes, to maybe 45 minutes at the max. But I wasn't consistently reaching my daily goal of at least an hour outside each day. And that's important. That's a key component to this whole thing. You can prevent your eyesight from getting worse by changing your habits close up. But as we've learned through this program, and as most Endmyopia students know, probably the hard way, unless you get significant outdoor distance time, you don't really improve your vision. You just prevent it maybe from getting worse. So now for the next problem. When I would be working at my computer using close-up vision, I would start out perhaps practicing active focus, like we all do. But inevitably after some time, I'd get too caught up in what I was doing and speed read, or be mesmerized in some video, and I'd lose that intentional active focus practice.
Essentially, I would allow myself to adapt to the blur and not make much of an effort to clear it. This is pretty much the opposite of active focus and a temptation you definitely want to avoid while trying to improve your vision. Okay, so finally, of course, the icing on the cake of all my what not to do things, my unhealthy relationship with my smartphone. An addiction, really. And when I say addiction, I don't necessarily mean spending hours at a time on my phone like this, not being able to pull myself away. I know I wasn't doing that because I was paying attention to my phone usage. However, what I didn't factor in and wasn't fully aware of until I saw a video Jake made about this very subject was that picking up your phone to check notifications for a few minutes here and there, hundreds of times over the day, adds up quickly. And that I can also confirm because I logged it in my close-up time chart. I was seeing several hours of phone usage over the course of just one day. And at one point, it almost reached 8 hours. Yikes. Granted, some of that could have been from listening to music on YouTube videos, which I often do. And that doesn't really involve watching the videos themselves, but simply putting it on for background music. But still, that's just way too much phone usage. So basically, here's my takeaway.
I hit a little bump in the road from my unorthodox reduction and subsequently ran into a bit of a challenge. Then life got in the way. Lots of things happened. I made a move, got married, and over time I became discouraged by the slow to no progress that I was experiencing. Bottom line, I just got lazy. End of summary. But the good news is that it isn't too late to turn this thing around and get back on track.
I know that others following Endmyopia have experienced veering off track from time to time, and it's all part of the experience, I hope. Progress is not always going to be a linear shot or trajectory, and it really requires some patience and determination to not want to go the easy route with this. So my current goal, and really the same goal I've had all along, to get this right eye to see a clear 2030 to 2020 on the eye chart, is where I'm headed. How do I plan to do that? One, change my relationship with my smartphone. That's probably the biggest culprit here. 2, reincorporate intentional and purposeful active focus both indoors and outdoors. It's important to be able to practice active focus in a variety of settings. And if you're not practicing it in all settings, you're not really getting that second nature practice in so that you can do it automatically without thinking. And finally, 3, get myself outside or using more of my distance vision for the love of Pete. That's really the only way to do it, and there's no other way around it. You can't improve your vision if you don't practice the very thing needed for improvement. Kind of makes sense. And that's that. Wish me luck as I get back on track and hopefully on my way to more measurable improvement with my eyes. Thanks for listening, and I hope to catch you in my next update. Bye.